Here's what nobody tells you about buying a Kawasaki. The bike you end up regretting is almost never the fast one. It's the one you talked yourself out of at the dealer. 6 models fit that pattern this year. And the bike sitting at number 1, Kawasaki may never build anything like it again. Number 6. Kawasaki Eliminator 451. $6,499. That's the number that should have stopped you last spring. Add ABS and you're at $6,799. Go for the special edition with the headlight cowl and you're still only at $7,099. For a brand new, fuel-injected, liquid-cooled cruiser with a warranty. Now here's why riders are kicking themselves. The 451cc parallel twin in this thing isn't a lazy cruiser motor. It's basically the Ninja 500 engine with different gearing and a different attitude, which means it pulls cleanly from a stoplight instead of shuddering like a big single. Twisted in third at 45, and it actually wants to go. Most beginner cruisers punish you the moment you outgrow them. This one doesn't. The seat sits at 27.8 inches. I've watched riders with a 28-inch inseam flat foot this bike and immediately relax. That confidence is worth more than any spec on the brochure. But let me be honest about the downside. The fuel tank is small. You're looking at roughly 140 miles before you start doing math at the gas station. On a highway run, that gets old fast, and there's zero wind protection, so anything past 70 is a shoulder workout. Here's my actual opinion. The Honda Rebel 500 gets all the attention and all the aftermarket love. But the Rebel feels like a scooter that grew up. The Eliminator feels like a small motorcycle. There's a difference, and you feel it in the first mile. Riders who bought the Vulcan S instead paid $7,649 and got a heavier bike with an older engine. The forums are full of those guys asking about trade-in values right now. That's the regret. Not that this bike is perfect, but that it was the smartest $6,000 cruiser on the floor, and everyone walked past it. Number 5. Kawasaki KLR 650. Here's the problem almost nobody plans for. You buy an adventure bike, then you drop it on a gravel forest road 200 miles from a dealer, and suddenly you're staring at a cracked plastic fairing that costs $1,100 to replace. The KLR 650 was built by people who understood that scenario personally. $6,999 gets you the base model. $7,299 with ABS. For that money, you get a 652cc fuel-injected single that has been refined, cursed at, and quietly perfected across 4 decades. Nobody buys this bike for horsepower. You buy it for the 6.1-gallon tank. That's real-world 400 miles between fill-ups, which in Nevada or Utah is not a luxury. It's the entire trip. The 21-inch front wheel rolls over ruts and washouts that would stop a road-biased adventure bike cold. And when you do drop it, and you will, you pick it up, straighten the bar, and keep going. Ask any long-term owner. They'll tell you the same thing. The KLR is not fast, not smooth, and not sophisticated. It's just always there. The real weakness is vibration. Above 70, the mirrors blur and your hands go numb on longer stretches. There's no cruise control, no traction control, and the bike weighs over 450 pounds fully fueled, which you absolutely notice in deep sand. My honest take? If you're doing 80% pavement, buy something else. If you're doing 40% dirt and want to sleep at night, nothing at this price does what this does. The Honda XR 650L is lighter and rowdier, but it's carbureted, has a tiny tank, and vibrates just as much. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 is cheaper and smoother, but it's a 300-mile-a-day bike, not a 600-mile-a-day bike. That's why riders regret skipping this one. They bought comfort, then discovered they wanted range. Number 4. Kawasaki Z650 RS. A guy I ride with sold his Z650 last year. Same engine, same frame, more aggressive styling, cheaper price. 6 weeks later, he bought a Z650 RS and told me it was the dumbest financially smart decision he'd ever made. Because the RS isn't about performance. It's about the fact that you actually want to look at it in the garage. $8,999. The teardrop tank, the round headlight, the twin gauges with the analog needles. It's the Z900 RS formula shrunk down and made accessible. Underneath, that 649cc parallel twin makes about 67 horsepower, which on paper sounds mild. In practice, it means you can wring this thing out to redline in second gear on a back road and still be doing legal speeds. That's a rarer feeling than most riders admit. 412 pounds means you flick it through corners with your knees, not your shoulders. City riding on this bike is almost unfair. The flaw? The suspension. The front fork is non-adjustable and it dives hard under real braking. Hit a mid-corner bump at speed, and the bike gets vague in a way that a set of decent fork springs would fix for $300. Kawasaki knows this. They just built to a price. Here's where I'll be blunt. If you have $12,000, buy the Z500 ABS and never look back. But most riders don't have $12,000, they have $9,000. And at $9,000, this is the best-looking, most usable retro naked you can buy new from a dealer with a warranty attached. The Z650 RS also holds value in a way the standard Z650 simply does not. Check the used listings. Clean ones barely depreciate. That's the regret here. Riders bought the cheaper Z650 to save $800, then lost more than that on resale within 2 years. Number 3. Kawasaki W800. Put this next to a Triumph Bonneville, and something strange happens. People walk toward the Kawasaki, not because it's flashier, because it looks older. The Bonneville has been modernized, smoothed out, given liquid cooling and radiator plumbing. The W800 still runs a 773cc air-cooled vertical twin with visible fins and a bevel gear-driven cam. That's not styling. That's engineering someone chose to keep. $10,699. The Bonneville T120 sits comfortably north of $12,000. And honestly, for that extra money you get more power and better brakes. But you don't get this. The way that air-cooled twin thumps at low RPM through a small town. The way the chrome fenders catch evening light. The way the whole bike feels like it was assembled by hand in 1970. Ask owners what they love, and almost nobody mentions performance. They mention how the bike makes them ride slower on purpose. Here's the honest limitation. It's heavy for what it is, and it's not fast. Roughly 47 horsepower moving close to 500 pounds means overtaking on a 2-lane road requires planning. Ground clearance runs out early if you get enthusiastic in corners, and the brakes are adequate rather than confidence-inspiring. If your riding involves interstates and schedules, this bike will frustrate you within a month. My opinion? This is the only bike on this list I'd buy purely with my heart and not apologize for it. Because everything else in this price bracket is a rational purchase, and rational purchases don't make you walk out to the garage at 10 at night just to look. Why riders regret passing on it? Air-cooled twins are disappearing. Emissions rules are tightening every year. The people who bought one in 2026 will be the people selling them for more than they paid in 2032. Number 2. Kawasaki Versys 650 LT. 5.5 gallons. Hard saddlebags with quick-release mounts, a 4-way adjustable windshield and hand guards, all standard, all included, $10,399. Now price a competing middleweight adventure tourer, then add luggage, then add a screen, then add guards. You're past $11,000 before you've turned a wheel. That's the entire argument for this bike, and for 2026 Kawasaki finally addressed the complaints. New face, updated instrument display, and traction control that the old bike simply didn't have. The 649cc twin is the same engine family that shows up all over this list, and there's a reason for that. It's dead reliable. Owners routinely report crossing 60,000 miles on nothing but valve checks and chains. Upright bars, a tall screen, and a wide seat mean you arrive at hour 6 still willing to talk to people. But let's be clear about what this is not. 17-inch wheels front and rear mean this is an adventure-styled tourer, not an off-road machine. Take it down a rutted trail, and you'll be riding very carefully. The engine also gets buzzy in the grips around 5,000 RPM, right where highway cruising lives, and that's a genuine annoyance on a long day. Personally, this is the one I'd recommend to the friend who says he wants a KTM, but actually just wants to ride to Colorado twice a year. Ego says buy the big adventure bike. Reality says you'll never use half of it, and you'll pay $6,000 more for the privilege. Riders regret skipping the Versys for exactly one reason. They bought something more exciting, rode it less, and eventually admitted the boring bike was the one they'd have actually used. Number 1. Kawasaki Ninja ZX4 RR. Count how many manufacturers currently sell a 4-cylinder motorcycle under 500cc in America. The answer is 1. Kawasaki. That's the entire story of the ZX4RR, and it's why riders who skipped it are watching the used market with real anxiety. $9,999. Yes, that's more than a Ninja 500, which starts at $5,399. And no, the ZX4RR is not twice the motorcycle in raw numbers. But raw numbers aren't what you're buying. You're buying an inline 4 that screams past 11,000 RPM and keeps climbing. You're buying a sound that no parallel twin on Earth can replicate. Riding this bike at 8/10 on a canyon road delivers more sensation than a liter bike at 3/10, and it does it at speeds that won't cost you your license. The RR adds Showa suspension and a quick shifter over the standard ZX4R, which sits at $9,949. Spend the difference. Now the flaw, and it's a real one. This engine needs revs. Below 7,000 RPM, it feels flat, almost lazy, and riders coming off a torquey twin often describe the first week as disappointing. Add a tight riding position and limited wind protection, and this is not the bike for a 400-mile day. My genuine opinion? Buy this if you have a second bike or if your riding is mostly weekend roads and occasional track days. Buy the Ninja 650 if it's your only motorcycle. The ZX6R at $12,284 is faster in every measurable way, but you'll use 80% of the 4RR and maybe 40% of the 6R. Emissions regulations killed small 4-cylinders once before. Betting they won't do it again is the actual regret. So what's the actual regret here? It isn't missing a deal. It's that 5 of these bikes will still exist in 5 years, and 1 probably won't. If I had to spend my own money today, I'd take the ZX4RR and store it. If I had to ride it every single day, I'd take the Versys without hesitating. Which of these 6 would you actually put money on? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe if you want the next one.